This is Michael Dermer, and I am the author of The Lonely Entrepreneur. I hope you enjoyed today's perspective. Entrepreneurs all have our crazy stories. Here's one from The Lonely Entrepreneur. When we first started our company, what ended up being IncentOne, doing financial rewards for healthy behavior, that's actually not the first idea we had. The first idea we had was actually to create an 800 number, like an 1-800-Flowers, where people could call up and get the gift certificates of their choice. This had all started when my brother had an experience trying to buy gift certificates at a store in Manhattan and waited, 3 hours online and said to me one day, why isn't there a 1-800-Flowers for gift certificates? And that kind of launched the whole idea of creating this whole idea called 1-800 gift certificate. And this is back, 15 years or so when these vanity 800 numbers were everything. And so we decided that in order for that business to work, we needed to have the telephone number that corresponded to the first 7 letters of the word gift certificate. So we poked around. We actually called the number a couple of times. Nobody answered. And then we used a relationship we had at AT&T to find out a little bit about the number. Well, it turns out that it was owned by a guy in Las Vegas, and the monthly billing on the number was like $5. So somebody used it, but it was being used very sparingly. And so my brother and I crafted a plan to go get this 800 number. And this was our plan. We would, once a day, call the number. We would take turns doing it. And if we happened to get somebody on the other end of the phone, we would explain that the 800 number was just the 800 version of a number we used in New York City in our real estate business. We didn't want the people to think that this was going to be super valuable. And so we set out to do that. And we kept doing it, and nobody ever answered the phone. And as a month or two went by, just by pure coincidence, my parents were going to Las Vegas for a cousin's anniversary. And so kind of half kiddingly, we said, Mom and Dad, you should really, go over to the owner's house at gunpoint and steal this 800 number. But the one thing we did do is we said, you know what, you're going to be in Las Vegas. The chances are slim, but why don't we just give you the paperwork from AT&T that you have to sign in case something happens? And we were really just completely goofing around, but we did give them the paperwork. So my parents go to the airport. They get on the plane. My brother makes his regular call to the 800 number, and somebody answers. And my brother charmingly talks to the guy and says, hey, we're these guys in New York, and we have this real estate business, and we'd really like the 800 number. And the guy on the other end pauses and goes, okay, we don't really use the number that much. Why not? And my brother and I had agreed that we didn't want to offer too little for the number. We didn't want to offer too much. So we offered the guy $500, and he took it. And we would have offered him, $10,000. And so we said, hey, listen, just by coincidence, my parents are going to be in Las Vegas. Would you mind meeting them, and we'll give you the money and you can sign some paperwork? And he said, no problem. So now we've got a deal. So my brother and I are trying to figure out, do we jump on a plane? My parents are in the middle of the flight. My brother starts booking flights, and I said, listen, Dan, there's no way you can get to Las Vegas in 2 hours, right? We got to wait for Mom and Dad to land. At the time, my parents didn't have cell phones, so we literally had to leave a message at their hotel to give us a call back. So hours go by, and what seemed like endless time goes by, and we leave a message for my parents, and finally my parents give us a call back, and my mom gets on the phone. We said, Mom, guess what? You'll never see, guess what happened? We actually got the guy who owns the number on the phone, and we've agreed that tomorrow night, on Friday night, you're going to meet him, at the sports book, right, at Treasure Island in Las Vegas, right? And we're going to exchange it, and we're going to sign all the paperwork, and he's going to give them some money, and we're going to go from there. Isn't that great news? And this is what my mom says. Only a Jewish mother could say this. She goes, we can't meet him at 7 o'clock tomorrow night. That's when the anniversary party is. And I said, put Dad on the phone. So my dad got on the phone. We talked about, setting it up. We talked to the guy one more time, and my dad agreed to be wearing a red hat, right? So another day goes by, what seemed like weeks and weeks was only a day. My dad shows up to the Treasure Island sports book. He's got his red hat on. The guy shows up, super nice guy, shakes hands with my dad. My parents go over to somebody in the casino to take the guy's driver's license and to make a photocopy of it and to sign some paperwork. And it was like a bad drug deal. So they signed the paperwork. My parents hand them an envelope with $500. They shake hands and they part ways. And they get about 10 feet away from each other. And the guy goes, "Oh, one thing I forgot to ask you. Do you guys have anything to do with those gift certificate guys?" And my dad just kind of played dumb and goes, "What do you mean?" And the guy said, "Forget it. Some guys used to call me for years about something about gift certificates, but don't worry about it. No big deal. Thanks. It was a pleasure doing business with you." And boom, we had the 800 number and we were off to the races. To join the Lonely Entrepreneur community and receive a free perspective of the day, visit us at lonelyentrepreneur.com/subscribe. And remember, the difference between success and failure is your perspective.